Greetings, golf sickos. Welcome back to another episode of Dan on Golf. Ben and I'm here with Ben Boscovich, editor-in-chief of Scratch. We were just talking. We're seeing some of the articles start to flow in after Rory McIlroy won the Players' Championship just a few hours ago, obviously a Monday morning finish. They're trying to make him out to be like a tragic figure. It really kind of blows my mind. They're doing this all week where he needs this. You know, I saw an article that said that Rory McIlroy is trying to outrun a devastating memory, and that's the story of his career. And it's bizarre.
Do you think if he doesn't win the U.S. Open, if he just doesn't miss a putt like that this follows him at all? Like, he's got to be as happy as anybody else in golf.
I don't think that there's anything tragic about Rory McIlroy's life. I mean, he's got 4 majors. He's got 28 wins now. 28 wins. He's only 35 years old. That's a ton of wins. He's got 2 Players' Championships, and maybe I'm drinking the Players' Kool-Aid because we were just there, but that matters for someone's legacy.
Yeah.
There's not that many guys who have won 2 Players' Championships. And I want to make another point about Rory. I'm going to back up his caddy, Harry Diamond. Harry gets so much flack anytime Rory doesn't win a golf tournament. We saw this, the peak of this was at Pinehurst. People seem to blame Harry Diamond for missing those 2 putts, which is out of control. But everyone's really quiet about Harry when Rory wins. You notice that? That's the nature of the business. And I'm here to say, I see these caddies and these players every single week. Harry Diamond's a great caddy. And just because he's not super public and him and Rory aren't discussing every single shot loud and for the cameras to hear, doesn't mean he doesn't work hard, doesn't mean that he's not a great caddy. And he's a great caddy for Rory because Rory is comfortable around him. And every caddy-player relationship is different. Some young guys, they want an experienced looper who's going to kind of shepherd them around the golf course. Some guys want a pal out there who brings their blood pressure down. And Rory obviously has a lot of noise surrounding him at all times. And I think Harry is perfect for Rory. He's a calming presence. He's a great player. And Rory's an all-time great. He knows how to play golf. He doesn't need a caddy to tell him what club to hit. That's on Rory.
Is that what people's beef is with him? Is that he's not as engaged?
Yeah, the beef is that, Rory needs someone who's going to call him off certain shots or who's going to... But that's also, some players aren't like that. I mean, Shane Lowry once told me that he doesn't bring in his caddy ever for a read. And I said, why? He said, no disrespect to Darren, but he's a 10 handicap. You know what I mean? The golfer he's the one hitting the shots, and every player-caddy relationship is different. And the first rule of being a caddy, because I have caddied once on the PGA Tour, made the cut, nope, not to brag, is pick the right horse. And my goodness, has Harry Diamond picked the right horse? We're going to go to some highlights from Rory McIlroy's win at the Players' Championship. Let's roll these highlights. So we had the big rain delay. That was the story on Sunday, where they're going to finish this. And J.J. Spaun, right before the rain delay, he was 2 back of Rory. Rory had just taken the lead when this horn blew. We didn't know if we were going to have to come back for a Monday finish. They ended up getting in all 72 holes, but not the playoff. Rory on 15. You thought he was going to take control of the tournament here. A beautiful wedgie to short irons really, really well. Really all the irons, but especially the short irons. Had this birdie look, and you're thinking, he makes this, the tournament's really in his hands. Misses it on the low side. J.J. Spaun did better than Rory here, so they hit it in the very similar shots on the 16th hole. Rory's chip checked up, came up well short. J.J. Spaun's trickled out to tap-in range, and that saw J.J. Spaun tie Rory McIlroy on 12 under par. Rory had this putt, talk about nervy, on the 18th hole. It catches the right side of the hole, a little one-hand grab by the hole there. He gave that little look like he knew that was maybe going to miss, and look at how close this thing was. If that lips out again, you want to talk about narratives? Whew. You want to talk about narratives? Good thing it lipped in, though. And then J.J. Spaun had a putt to win the tournament that kept on trickling. I thought it was going to be short, and it kept on trickling. Probably 2 rotations short. I don't know if it was quite 1 rotation short. So then they had a date, the 2 of them, 9 a.m. You got Rory with 5 playoff experiences, 3 and 2. J.J. Spaun, this was the shot that really set the tone. Rory had the tee first, and he launched one. I think this carried 320 in the air, right over the left side of the trees. Probably left, it was playing a little downwind. I would think a 9-iron in from 180 yards. And JJ had to answer, and this was the first of very many poor shots from J.J. Spaun in the playoff. It must be said. He didn't hit a good layup. He got lucky that it went into the bunker. Did not hit a good bunker shot on 16. Made par. Rory was able to 2-putt. They walked to 17. Rory's got the tee. This is what's so encouraging about Rory is how well he's hitting those little half soft arm shots. This was a 9-iron from 130 yards. Just a beautiful, beautiful shot, probably within a couple yards of where he was looking. They got J.J. Spaun taking a look at Rory's bag. He went with an 8-iron. It was on a good line. He flushed it, but we saw 119 ball speed. It was way more than Rory's splash. Not even that close. And after that, it was more of the same for J.J. on 18. He hit it way right. Then he hit it back into the fairway, came up way short with his approach. And Rory three-putted on 17 and ended up shooting one over for the playoff. He still would have won by 4 or 5. So it was not the greatest golf on Monday morning, a little bit anticlimactic of a finish. And you can see JJ was completely just flabbergasted because he had no clue. He said he was working with the TrackMan and he was hitting that 8-iron. It was flying the right number, maybe under the gun, maybe a little bit of adrenaline. But what do you think?
He thought it was short.
Yeah, he said he thought it was short?
Yeah, he was like, I thought I hit a perfect shot. If anything, maybe short, not long.
It's crazy. It's crazy how much a little bit of wind on that hole. And 17, man, it always seems to make the difference.
Thank God he did, though. You know why? Because Rory McIlroy needed that to happen really bad.
What would have happened if Rory didn't win?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? He might have never played again. He probably just wouldn't have shown up the rest of the year. Probably would never have won another PGA Tour event ever again. I'm just saying, it's just that narrative to me is really tired.
Someone asked him recently, like, what's left on his bucket list. He's not thinking about the stuff that everybody thinks is plaguing him. He's thinking about an away Ryder Cup win. If that's the next thing on your bucket list, you've done pretty well. Yeah,
obviously he would love to win the Masters, of course, but I think he's at a place where he can be at peace if that never happens. I don't think that makes him a tortured soul. Okay. Great week at the Players. We're going to get into it more in detail, but first we are going to do a segment we call the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround Sunglasses. I love these guys. I met the Knockaround team at the Players. Awesome. Southern California company. These are the Mary Janes. Last chance with Mary Jane.
Hey.
One more time to kill the pain. Is that Tom Petty? I think it's Tom Petty.
Blaze it.
These are awesome. These sunglasses are $35, and the quality of them is unbelievable. Genuinely unbelievable. And we got good news for you. If you go to knockaround.com and you use the promo code DANONGOLF20, you're going to get 20% off your first order, which brings these sunglasses to under $30. And I'm telling you, these things, I might have left them in the washing machine this week. Can't confirm or deny. And they were perfectly fine, and they're back on my head. So, tremendous product. Use the promo code DANONGOLF20, knockaround.com. All right. We're going to start in Singapore, Live Golf. Joaquin Niemann wins again. He won by 5 shots over Brooks Koepka. That's his 4th win. And no one, I think, other than Bryson, has benefited more from the move to Live Golf. Now, he won twice on the PGA Tour. He's now won 4 times on Live. His on-course earnings in 33 events. So, kind of a season and a half on the PGA Tour, $48.5 million. He's in first place. He's likely to get an exemption. He's already into 3 of the other majors, I believe, and he's likely to get an exemption into the U.S. Open by being at the top of the Live standings. They have a new exemption category. And Liv are trying really hard to pump up Joaquin. I get it. They've got a young player who's 26, who's playing incredible, and they're trying to push him up into that Rory Scotty conversation. But this is a problem that they've had. Like, Liv can sign stars. They've done that in the past. They've repeatedly done that with Bryson and Brooks and Rahm. But can they make stars? Can someone become a star just on Liv? I would say you have to play well in the majors. We'll talk about that in a second. But Phil Mickelson is certainly drinking the Joaquin Niemann Kool-Aid. Here's Phil Mickelson's take. So the Torque, which is Joaquin Niemann's team, says Joaquin has got to be a top 5 player in the world right now. Currently sits at the top of the leaderboard in Singapore for his 2nd win of the season and 4th in Live Golf League. Phil Mickelson says top 5, try number 1. Okay, Phil a little bit in his content era, I'll say that. I don't think he's playing better golf than Rory McIlroy. And my take on Joaquin Niemann, people were asking me this in the live chat all week. He's got to do more in the majors.
Yeah,
he's played his best ever finish in a major is a tie for 16th at the 2023 Masters, and he's had 22 starts. So 5.5 years of playing the major championships and not a single top 15 finish. I appreciate what he's doing on Live. I will say, if the Players was a 54-hole tournament, then J.J. Spawn would have won it. So don't underestimate the difference between 54 and 72 holes. But, I mean, the guys who are playing on Live who've had major success have made their stardom on the PGA Tour. Guys like the guys we mentioned before. Brooks won a major while playing for Live, and Bryson won a major while playing for Live. But Niemann's going to have to do it in the majors to really back it up. Speaking of Brooks Koepka, so Fred Couples made some headlines saying he thinks that Brooks wants to come back to the tour. We've talked a lot on our show about how the first Live set of contracts are expiring at some point, and it's kind of gut check time for Yasir. You obviously have the merger kind of lingering in the background. Are they going to keep these stars? Are they going to pay the money out that these guys will demand? And anyways, Brooks was asked about it this week in Singapore.
Fred texted me after I guess the comments came out. I don't know when it was, sometime last week.
Quite somber.
God, he's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to have their own opinion. No one asked me. I mean, I talked to Fred quite a bit, but we don't go too much into detail about what's going on. Like I've said it before, I'm not in those rooms. I've got a contract obligation out here to fulfill, and then we'll see what happens. But I don't know where I'm going, so I don't know how everybody else does.
That is not a commitment.
Right now, I'm just focused on how do I play better? How do I play better in the majors? How does this team win? And then we'll figure out, next year and how to play better again. It's the same thing. So it's just a revolving cycle. But I've got nothing. Everybody else seems to know more than I do.
Yeah, he's exhausted.
He's exhausted. Not a commitment, though. No. I mean, because they asked Bryson the same question. He was like, I'm super happy with Live Golf, what we're building here. I'm really happy to be a captain of the Crushers. I will say Brooks views himself more, I would say, as an athlete than a golfer, and this is what sort of an impending free agent would say. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. He's probably driving up his value by doing that, but it was notable, I should say, that he didn't exactly commit his future to Live Golf. Dustin Johnson. So people have been throwing dirt on this guy's grave. He finished dead last at Live Hong Kong, has really played pretty poorly for the better part of a year. He's been dealing with an injury, was saying he could only hit draws for a while. He bounced back, shot 63 in the first round in Singapore. Yeah, there he was, finishing dead last in Hong Kong. Shot 8, I think it was 8 under, 63 in Singapore. He faded over the weekend, finished in the tie for 5th. Yeah, there was a 63. But positive signs for Dustin. We all like Dustin. We'd like to see him. I think he's not that old.
When I saw that graphic of who was in last place, I was thinking, like, do you think the guys that joined Live that aren't performing on Live but are getting rich on Live but aren't performing on the golf course almost like loathe golf at this point because they just get like paid tons of money no matter what happens? They're not playing well. They're like, why do I even come here in the morning? Do you think they're like...
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario because there's also, there's no real risk of like losing your car. I mean, someone got relegated and they just re-signed them last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's probably not as stressful as a guy who's playing really bad on the PGA Tour because you're going to lose your card.
Right.
But it's definitely an interesting dynamic where you're getting paid and you're getting starts every week, but you're not doing much. We're going to move on to the Creator Classic, which is a pro shop production. How great was that being out there?
So much fun. I mean, it felt like thousands of people on that 10th tee.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Fat Perez delivered some all-time moments, and that's what's so cool about this Creator Classic is you don't have to win for a clip to go viral. Like these are clip people, these are moments people. So FP was struggling a little bit out of the gate. He double bogeyed the first hole, kind of a quick hook. And I talked to the Jet and Robbie Berger on 16 fairway. And I said this. I said, one moment on 17, one clip on 17, and the whole day is worth it. And boy, did he give us a moment on 17.
This is about as fast as putts get. You want this thing just crawling over the ridge.
Let Danny
give us a moment. Yeah, this was a good call.
You just blew on that. Come on now. Do it. Do it to him. Do it to him.
Give us a moment, FP. Give us a moment.
Right in the middle. Yeah. Jump in the water, my man.
Oh, you just felt like it was going to go in.
Give us a moment, FP's like all-time call.
Yeah. There's the Euro. Oh. Everyone was calling it. There was like some fatter than the PGA Tour initially posted fatter than most, which I saw FP after the round. He comes to me. He goes, the first post they posted was fatter than most. I go, good natured. He goes, it caught me off guard. It definitely caught me off guard. But I thought give me a moment was pretty awesome. He also took a wild shot at Wesley Bryan, who struggled. This one left me speechless. We did a little on-course interview. Here it is.
Let's take it home, boys. We got some birdies to be made.
Yeah, 100%. I got a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
Both myself and Wesley Bryan have both played the same amount of weekends at the Players' Championship.
Oh, that's 0.
That's right.
Wow. I'm going to leave it at that.
Oh.
Ooh. Brutal.
Shot a.
Brutal stuff at Wes, who is a PGA Tour winner. We should remind everyone. Yeah, rough showing for Wesley Bryan. I think we talked about on this show that he was the favorite. He shot 6 over for 8 holes. Only guy he beat was Trent Ryan. Yeah, he tied Tisha and I think someone else, but the only guy he beat was Trent Ryan.
George played well.
George got to the playoff. Let's show some Wesley lowlights. It started on the first hole. He hit the ridge right in front of him. Wound up making bogey. Just the vibes. I mean, they were having fun. He was playing with his brother and with Grant and with FP. Missed the green on 11. Missed a bunch of short putts. Tee shot here on 13 was just a mega bailout. He was just out of sorts. And, so there's been a lot of talk about, is Wesley too good to play in the Creator Classic? He's played in 2 and he hasn't won one. And I actually thought he was pretty funny in his pre-round interview. He was like, well, I can't get into this tournament because I'm not good enough as a professional, and I can't play in the Creator Classic, so I'm just kind of trying to figure out like where I'm allowed to play. Poor guy. No, he'll be back. And Grant was saying that he was in good spirits right afterward. Another amazing moment on 17, Trent Ryan. So Trent won a qualifier. It was a net qualifier, I think 6 holes from the Barstool guys to play in this. He made a bit of a mess, but again, delivered the moments. Let's show some of the highlights from Trent Ryan here. Started on 16. Oh, man. Just digging trenches here. His sound effects. That ball ended up right in its own divot. Hit it in the water, I believe, 5 times in a row. On 17, and then he goes, we got to get out of here. He goes, we got to go. Everyone started chanting his name and encouraging him, and then finally with some Baba Booies, look, he holstered it. He liked the strike on that one, and it caught the green, and everyone went crazy. A great moment from Trent Ryan. I thought the Creator Classic was a big success. You know, I feel a little bit like a PGA Tour executive where I'm kind of waiting for the Golf Channel ratings, to see really going to impact how I remember that day. But a super fun week and a super fun the Knockaround presented by Knockaround. We're going to dive more deeply into the Players Championship now, Ben. I want to start with, so we're doing these watch-alongs. We did it earlier today. They're super fun. Basically, I'm watching the broadcast and there's a camera on me and I'm looking up stats. I'm going
Tourcast.
Danny Tourcast was going crazy, reading the putts, talking about how far they have, what they're looking at, and interacting with the chat, answering everyone's questions. And it's just fun to, if you don't have someone to watch golf with, or you want to come ask me some questions, whatever it might be, you want to dunk on me, that's fine too. We have the watch along. Let's show a clip from it.
Rory McIlroy, 4 feet 4 inches for par. Oh my God! If he misses this, he's never going to hear the end of it. After Pinehurst, come on, Rory. Oh, good catch, Hole. That was Odell. Give me that.
Good catch.
Grabbed it. Oh, avoided disaster. It's amazing.
I mean, it's amazing. It's also amazing.
1 inch, half an inch to the right.
It's amazing, yeah. What I was just going to say, there's half an inch to the right. We talked about that narrative is so different. It's also amazing how nervous I get.
Yeah.
I don't have to play.
The watch-along's great for capturing raw emotion, real time.
And because of our partnership, we can show the reaction, not in real time, but we can show the reaction over like the actual putt.
Yeah.
So it's a good strategy for clips. All right, let's dive in. So I thought this was interesting. So this was before Sunday. Rory McIlroy and Patrick Cantlay, the fried egg, which they make a lot of like really insightful observations. They noted that McIlroy and Cantlay were the only 2 players on the back of the range this morning. Most players opted for a certain wind. Patrick and Rory went to the other side of the range. So that's just an interesting, you see there's one big range, but players do have access to the back of the range. That's the back of the range that they always talk about is like closed off for pros when they practice, because obviously TPC Soccer is publicly accessible and you hear all these pros who practice there. It's they're at the back of the range. Rory ended up shooting 68, so maybe a good decision. Johnny Walker, he studied. Last man in the field. Finished 28th on the Korn Ferry Tour last year, and that's changing actually. Only the top 20 guys on the Korn Ferry Tour are going to get their cards. So he was the last man in the field. He gets in when Jason Day withdraws. Look at this. He had only made $179,000 on the PGA Tour so far. And then I also looked in his Korn Ferry Tour career. In total, it was about $550K in 7 years as a pro. So do the math. They're under $100K per year plus expenses. Not a rich guy is what I'm trying to say. So he gets into the field when Jason Day withdrew. And there was a story that came out that he cried. Let's hear his take on whether he cried in the car.
I was in the locker room in the restroom. Yeah, I had to take that phone call.
Someone says you may have cried?
I mean, if one tear counts as crying, yes. Yeah,
well,
sure.
He shed a tear. That counts as crying. Anyways, maybe a different tier after, because he ended up finishing tied for 6th and made $843,000. So almost $300K more than he made in his entire career in 7 years as a professional. Also, Bud Cauley needed to finish, I think it was top 13 to keep his card, satisfy his medical exemption. Bud's been in the depths of this sport, had a car accident, didn't know if he was ever going to play again, finished tied for 6th. Really, really good stuff. And also shows the depth of professional golf that a guy like Danny Walker, who finished 28th on the Korn Ferry Tour last year, the biggest event on the PGA Tour, finishes in a tie for 6th. Before the tournament, we had Colin Morikawa's caddy, JJ Jakovac, a great player in his own. I feel obligated to say great player in his own right when we talk about caddies. That's just a phrase that is only used when talking about a caddy who's a good golfer.
I think he won something in college.
He won the
right?
D2 National Championship. You're exactly right. I think it was at Chico State. He had an ace on 17. Let's watch.
I was there, y'all.
You were there?
Behind him, yeah.
You were the good luck charm.
Saw 2 that day, yeah.
baller. They've been having the caddies hit shots on 17 for the last couple years.
Colin was so stoked. Look at him. He's ramming him.
I mean, that is a baller move to be carrying the bag all week, and then you hit one shot and it goes in the hole. Like, that is...
The crowd was also yelling afterward to make Colin carry the bag to the green.
Did he do it?
And he came back and grabbed it.
Yeah, you're the caddy now. Speaking of Colin, so Rory was in the headlines this week for his YouTube golf comments, the phone thing. We'll touch on that. But so is Colin. So this started when he didn't do media after Bay Hill. He lost that tournament to Russell Henley and decided not to stop for an interview. And then he doubled down. He actually tripled down. But anyways, here's Colin before the Players' Championship talking about his decision not to speak to the media.
Just heated, just pissed, you know? Like, I don't owe anyone anything. No offense to you guys. But for me, in the moment of that time, I didn't want to be around anyone. Like, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't need any sorries. I didn't need any good playings. Like, you're just pissed.
Yeah, and I get that. And I totally get that. And Rory didn't stop when he didn't win the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. But, you know, I think the issue was if you came back in that press conference and just said, you know what, guys, I was really upset. Like, I tried my hardest to win the tournament. I'm really sorry. I'm happy to be back with you guys now this week. Everyone would have been fine. It's the I don't owe anyone anything line. What do you think?
It's a tough statement. I have a question, actually. Are they allowed to, like, show up at the podium and be like, I'm going to give a statement and that's it, and then I'm going to leave?
Yeah.
So I think you always should at least do that. But I'm more on the player side on this one.
So I'm on the player side of if you, raw emotions. I mean, Akshay, I remember when he lost the tournament last year, he got there, was like, it sucks. I don't really know what to say besides it sucks. And that's fine. Like, you can totally be in a bad mood. But it's the I don't know anyone anything line that I think, you know, Colin's got an edge. And I think that was sort of I don't know. It was a spicy
truth
line.
You don't say.
Yeah, it was a spicy line. And anyway, so Rocco Mediate really did not like those comments. Let's look at what Rocco Mediate had to say. Biggest bunch of horse... Can I say it?
Yeah,
horse shit you could ever say, period. I mean, that is the dumbest, most selfish garbage you could ever say. Mr. Palmer would have hunted him down. Trust me on that one, because Mr. Palmer told me one thing that stuck with me. He said, you know what, Rock? It's real easy to go in and talk to somebody when you won or when you've played well, but can you do it when you don't? That's the key. Obviously, he can't. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Your job is to tell people what happened. I don't give a shit about your workout in the morning and all that other crap. Tell me what happened. You lost. You got beat. That's what happens. Guess what? Golf's hard. So Colin then saw those comments, and maybe this was an opportunity to be like, yep, maybe I got it wrong. He tripled down. Here's Colin during the tournament at the Players.
And then I just want to add one more thing. You know, might bite my tongue after saying this, but you know, to the Brandel Chamblees, to the Paul McGinleys, to the Rocco Mediates of the world, I don't regret anything I said. You know, it might have been a little bit harsh that I don't owe anyone, but I don't owe anyone. You know, I respect the fans. I'm very thankful for them. I'm grateful. You know, it makes me emotional, but it hurts to hear people say this, and especially you guys, because I finished the round and I went to go sign for 10 minutes, 15 minutes for all the people after. Not a single person from media went to go follow me because I don't know, but that's me. You know, for people to be calling me out is.
It's a tough one.
It's tough
because I do understand like where he's coming from, and what he was saying there is like, I went and I signed for the kids, and that's what's important, right? Like, the kids don't care if I lost, and I get it. Like, the media, maybe the assembled media is like lessening in importance, right? These guys can just go direct and make their statements on social media, but you know, he's saying like, I signed for the kids, and when he's saying no one followed me, I think he was expecting like maybe a clip would have come out of him signing for the kids afterwards, and that would have been the appropriate way for that information to come out. When it comes out afterwards, and you're like, well, I signed for the kids. I don't know. It's something that probably makes him a really, really good golfer, that edge, and that sort of like, I'm not going to apologize. I'm right here. But yeah, I don't know if it was be viewed as a net positive by the public.
I think it's like kind of picking fly shit out of Pepper to criticize him for doing it. Like, you know, needle in a hay, or I don't know. You don't get it? You don't get the metaphor?
No.
It's a little too small of a thing to like really give him shit about, I think. I think ultimately a person who, like Rocco says, does show up after a hard moment and talks to the media, that's like, you know, a next level person. We shouldn't fault people for like not being extra great.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Super Bowl quarterbacks talk after they lose. It's just part of the deal. Anyways, it was a little tense between the media and the players this year, at least the on-site media. Here was look at this interaction between Scotty and a reporter.
Are you surprised at all that greens haven't formed up the past couple days with all the sunshine?
I mean,
It sounded like we got a lot of rain. Sounds like you're trying to write something about the golf course, so I'm not going to bite. But I appreciate the effort.
So I actually have a perspective on this because I used to be in that business, right? Where you're doing an interview with a guy and you want one quote that you can then take out of the transcript. You don't play video, you don't play audio of it, so you don't hear a guy's tone. And then you make the headlines, you know, Scotty Scheffler rips golf course. I mean, you've lived in that world. They're right about what the goal is.
Yeah, you're trying to ask the question that gives you the answer you want to write the headline instead of just being like, let's see what this guy says and what the story is.
Yeah.
Too often there's not a story with the way that they talk.
And that's what's so difficult about it. And I don't miss this, having to write like a story every single day, you know, for the website, trying to get traffic. It's just a grind, man. And especially because a golf tournament is one competition played out over 4 days, right? Basketball writers don't write an article after the first round and the second round and the third, or the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter. You want to see everything that happens, and then you kind of decide. Golf, because it's so slow and it's played out over so many days, there's just so many people who are milking every little thing to try to make it into a story.
I don't think that's a story that I'd like care to read either. That's like a tweet, right? Like, what's the weather or what are the course conditions?
Well, that's what I've done a lot with like my like tweet graphics and stuff. Where like I feel like most quote unquote stories can be told in 240 characters, and if not, then you get a guy on an off week and you go and interview him, like we do on the bag, or what Dylan DeChair does is on the range, and you get an actual long form interview. It's just I get it. These guys are talking and they don't want one little snippet to be taken out of context, especially with the written word where there's no tone.
Right.
The human voice has evolved over hundreds of millions or whatever of years to be a highly sophisticated communicative device.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I talk to you, what I say on a transcript might not match what I say. And so I don't even read quotes anymore. I go watch the transcript, or I go watch the interview. I don't read the transcript. I watch the interview because you want to see what a guy actually said, not just the words that he said. And there is a difference there. Speaking of Scotty, so 5 tournaments, no wins so far. That matches, I think, his longest drought of last year. I don't think he ever went 5 tournaments without a win last year. And he's getting really frustrated out there. Here he was on the 16th hole.
How does the wind not move it at all that way?
How?
The H word.
Explain that to me. How does the ball go up with the wind blowing 30 miles an hour that way and go like this?
I know you're a big fan of the how.
We've all been there, obviously, but I like the how for Scotty, especially because you have to know and be self-aware that you're the best in the world right now to say how could that happen to me?
Yeah.
I understand how this guy would have that, but me?
Yeah, I struck it perfectly.
Yeah,
he's a big fan of the how. JT, we're going to talk about his round in a little bit here, but he's really good friends with Bud Collier. They were teammates at Alabama, and here's what he said going into Sunday's round about Bud's chances.
I would do some really, really weird things for Bud to win today. I probably wanted it too bad. I was telling Jill last night I was like a nervous parent. I just want him to play well so bad, because I know how bad he wants it, and it's a huge stage. I mean, it's a big moment. So there's a lot of golf left. He hasn't gotten off to the start he's wanted, I'm sure, but he's.
I've been lucky enough to spend some time with those two, JT and Bud. We played some pool a couple years ago, and Bud hadn't played golf in like a couple of years. And I just remember him being like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna try this comeback." And you're thinking like, "How's this gonna go?" And you know what? He finished T6 of the Players, so it's going great.
JT just didn't get weird enough for him to.
Yeah, JT should have got a little bit weirder. Maybe would have won the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much talk this week about the tree on 6. You know what put him ahead? Are you going to the tree? Because I felt every time I went on Twitter, I saw pictures of this tree. We have some pictures of the tree. I liked it. I thought they did a really good job. Davis Love's design team spearheaded the decision to bring this tree back. Made guys uncomfortable. I don't know if it would have been like so much in their shot path if they hit it normal, but just seeing a tree there makes you think about it, gives you a little bit of uncertainty, and the scoring average went way up on the hole. So Davis Love, good job with his design team, and they're also going to rework the greens a little bit after this year. They're going to put some of the movement back in, so it might get even harder.
I heard the average trajectory and the fairways hit, or the stroke average was like 35 strokes, I think, from Friday to Saturday, or from last year until Sunday morning, before Sunday morning.
No, it was
30 strokes.
It was a big difference, and trees get a lot of heat in the golf design architecture community, because I feel like the trend now is to remove all of these trees. But a well-placed tree, especially with the best players in the world, you have to put doubt and uncertainty into their head somehow.
I love it.
I thought it was great. Another miscut, unfortunately, for Max Homa, who's working as hard as ever. I've seen it. He's been the last guy on the range a lot of the times I've been at tour events this year. He's not on Twitter anymore. He's really trying to lock in. He did an interview with the PGA Tour's Paul Hodowanik, who's a great young journalist. Here's what he had to say. Let's pull up this quote here. The way I work, I feel like I deserve to be the best player in the world. His voice breaking. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I approach each day, and I'm going the complete opposite direction. You can tell he's feeling it. He's really feeling it. And this is something that golf can do. I think we've all been there to some, you're working hard, you're trying, and you're not getting the results. The problem is that this game doesn't, to use Colin's phrase, it doesn't owe anyone anything.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
And just because, you're working really hard doesn't mean that it's going to turn around. He did say, if my son was working this hard, I'd be really proud of him. So he's proud of himself. So it's nice that he's keeping that perspective, to use a buzzword. But I just feel for Max, I wonder how long this is going to continue. And it's got to hit a little bit different when you've been as low as he has. He's seen this before, and I'm sure he's starting to think, are we doing this again? So we touched on those Rory clips. Really spicy this week. He truly, doesn't give a what. And I'm thankful for how un-PC he is. He was asked if he's going to play on the Champions Tour later in his career, and here's what he had to say.
Sorry, say that, was that?
If Champions Tour is still kind of what
Absolutely not. I will not play Champions Tour golf. I've said a lot of absolutes in my time that I've walked back, but I do not envision playing Champions Tour golf. I mean, something has went terribly wrong if I have to compete at golf at 50.
It's not a money thing. That's where he said something's gone terribly wrong. And Ernie Els actually responded to this. He was like, we're all bulletproof when we're 35, and you think, oh, I'm never going to play with the old guys. And then you turn 50 and you're like, I still like doing this.
I was going to say, what is so bad about having to, it sounds like a privilege to get to go do that,
Yeah, no, 100%. And then here he was, this was before the Creator Classic. They were asking him about whether he's attuned to the YouTube golf generation.
Look at that at all? And
not really. I'm not of that generation. I'd much rather watch pure competitive. I'd much rather watch this golf tournament on Saturday and Sunday than watch YouTube golf.
Is there any part of you that's fascinated about how many eyeballs are on that though right now?
No, I mean, look, I'm happy for the people that enjoy it, but I enjoy something else.
Yeah. So not a huge YouTube golf fan, but you know what? He's a little edgy, and I don't mind. I think in 2014 he was a little edgy, and he won a lot that year. He was edgy this week with all that, plus the phone incident and winning the tournament. Is it heel turn time for Rory?
I don't mind him saying I'm not a consumer of YouTube golf, but when the follow-up question is like, can you talk about its impact on the sport that you're the face of? I think he owes a better answer than that.
So he owes someone something?
I think he owes us a better answer than that.
So
don't you think?
The anti-Colin, he owes you something?
Well, he doesn't owe us to show up to the podium, in my opinion.
Okay.
But if he's going to show up to the podium, come on.
I kind of appreciate that he's just completely speaks from the heart. There's no varnish.
If you're the tour, aren't you not happy with that answer too, though? Because they're investing so much in this next generation, and the people like us that admire Rory McIlroy growing up, do
you want to just lie and be like, it's amazing, I'm so fascinated about YouTube golf?
He wouldn't be lying if he said he's not fascinated, but he understands how important it is for the next generation and growing the game.
Fair enough. You know who is growing the game? You know who is of the next generation is Grant Horvat. Guy's an absolute superstar. He was wild, man. I was walking around with him. He's the brightest smile I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Just in terms of light, and I felt like I was walking around with the Beatles. He's doing these series with Phil. He played great. Let's run through some of his highlights from winning the Creator Classic. It started. Look at that tempo on one. That's I can see why he's so popular with that golf swing and that tempo, and just his overall affect. He was mixing it up with people all day. I knew he was comfortable when he chipped this on the first hole. I probably would have putted it. Just a perfect chip that almost went into the hole. His short game was really, really dialed throughout the entirety of the back nine. Got up and down from long of the green on 11. This thing trickled out to kick in. You get the thumbs up from FP. It's just so cool now, having watched the tournament, seeing these guys play those holes again. This was probably the best moment of the round in regulation. A putt on 13 that was just absolutely perfect speed, went in right in the middle, gives the fist pump, just looking awesome. And then in the playoff, a beautiful swing. Look at that camera work into 17. Just left of the hole, exactly where you want to put it. At this point, Solly had run his birdie putt a little bit by, so Grant, might have had two putts to win, but he didn't need two putts. He put this one right in the middle. another fist pump with the long putter. He makes the long putter look cool, which is difficult to do.
New for this week, right?
Nah, yeah, I think it's very, very recent. But yeah, it was awesome. It was really fun walking with that group, and we got to catch up with Grant Horvat. I spoke to him yesterday about the experience, what might be next. Here's Grant Horvat. I am joined by Grant Horvat, winner of the Creator Classic. You're 1 for 1. Tell me about the whole experience. I mean, you didn't play in the first one. You played in this one, which had a much bigger crowd, and you golfed your ball, man. It was super fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the experience was unbelievable. I've never gotten so many texts and congratulations in my life. I felt like I won like the biggest tournament of my life, which was pretty cool. So no, it was really fun though. I've told you multiple times when I walked up to that first tee and looked at all those people, I mentally at that moment I thought about all the tour pros out there and just how different they are and how they're built different mentally, because they can handle that and they do that week in and week out, and it just kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, this is unbelievable playing in front of this many people. But yeah, it was really cool, man.
So you mentioned, I think in our post interview after you won, you were saying, in the past, when there was pressure, you would get tight. Like, what were you? Because I know you played college golf. You played a lot of tournaments before. What were you like as a player in tournament conditions?
Yeah, so freshman year of college had a pretty rough year. I think I had like a 78 scoring average, and I was pretty much ready to give it up. I remember calling my mom and being like, I don't think I want to play anymore. And then after that year, I got to the point mentally where I stopped caring as much. And then my next 3 years, my scoring average went down, down, down. And by my senior year, I think I had a 73 scoring average, which was, for me, like, I shocked myself. And I was able to settle into the rounds. And I think for competitive golf, being able to settle in somewhat fast, because everybody gets nervous, but being able to settle in is the biggest thing. And like, I knew I was going to be so nervous because I haven't played like it felt serious. I mean, you're going into it like back
9 TPC Sawgrass day before the players.
Yeah, like everyone's like, oh, we're just going out there to entertain, have fun. But you walk up to that first tee, you have a rules official, and it became really serious. Like everyone's quiet, like even like, Bob at FP's serious. Like I'm just like, what's going on right now? And so it makes you more nervous because it's more of like an intense environment. We know it's live, but no, the group we had was awesome though. They kept me super relaxed.
You've played with so many pros now, filmed with so many pros. You've developed a relationship with Phil Mickelson. How has that helped your golf game?
Yeah, I think, that first off, that's been really cool. Just, meeting all the guys. And now it feels like, when I go to a tour event and I see the guys on the range, like you can just walk up and say hi to them. It's very different than it was. And a lot of the guys have embraced it, which is really cool. But playing with Phil, it's definitely helped my mental game for sure. He's played a lot of tricks on me. Yeah. You got to be ready for everything. I think it toughens you up. But yeah, Phil's like off camera has talked a lot about just like different things to me. And, we've talked a lot about pressure situations. And I was telling Phil, I was like, before our first 2v2 with Dustin Johnson and his brother, I was like amped up. Like I was fired up. Like that was my Super Bowl, it was our first 2v2. And I didn't want to let Phil down. That was the biggest thing with this 2v2 series. I don't want to let Phil down. I'm scared to I was just like, we need to start winning. So we're luckily 2-0 right now, but yeah, he's helped a lot with the mental side of everything.
What about like, because he was talking about how he's hitting a lot of like off speed shots and he's kind of doing it in a different way. Have you learned, I saw you like taking some extra clubs, swinging easy sometimes. Like, have you learned anything about X's and O's golf through him?
I have. So actually, Phil, surprisingly, he'll take a pitching wedge from like 120 all the time and knock it down and hit these like little flighty, stalled off kind of cut pitching wedges. And normally, from 120, you're hitting your 50 degree. Like almost everybody's hitting their gap wedge. But Phil will always take extra club, it seems like, and he'll saw it off a lot, which for me, when it's windy and stuff, I think of that Phil shot that he talks about a lot, and it's helped me a ton.
Wesley had a rough go. You ever seen him play that bad? You've played with him so many times.
Yeah, no, Wesley, every time we play together, he's always amazing. And like, even on his bad days, he still scraps it together. I was surprised. I was definitely surprised, but no, that's, with Wes, he's the type of guy where it's not going to bother him. He can bounce back the next day, and we went out and filmed the next day, and he was playing great. So, it's probably one of those just like fluke days. Maybe there was different pressure for him going into it. I don't know, being, the only tour pro. It's like, I don't know what's going through Wes's head, but it was pretty serious. Like I said, when we were out there, like, we were all grinding pretty hard.
I feel like the next step for you is a good professional. I mean, we've seen this with Luke Kwan. He's gotten invites into tournaments that he's played. If a PGA Tour event called you up and said, hey, we want to give you a sponsor's invite, what would your reaction be?
I've thought about that. I don't know right now.
You know what?
I don't know.
I like that you answered that, because that's a phrase that you don't hear enough of these days. I don't know the answer yet. Yeah,
I have to look within myself. And I have to really see if I want to put myself back in one of those situations. But no, I don't know. Like I said, that's the answer I have. I truly don't know what I would do. I think right now I just love doing YouTube videos, and the Creator Classic, happened, and that was awesome. I never expected to win it, but it definitely showed me a little something. I will say, like, kind of fired me up a little bit after, I made that putt to win it, and that felt really good versus like kind of lagging that putt up there and kind of tapping it in for par and Sully misses. It's like I made that putt, and that just fired me up a little bit, but I don't know. There's a big difference between me and pros. Huge difference, and I think people need to realize that, because there's a lot of people that do realize that, but then there's a lot that, think that I could be out there, and the reality is there's a huge gap between me and the tour pros. It's giant.
Well, it was awesome for us too, you making that putt, because it made it a much cleaner finish. I got to do the call. It was really fun walking around with you all day. Thanks for joining the show, and great playing, man.
Yeah, that was fun, dude. Your outfit was super cool. I don't think I could pull that off.
Tan Rapaport, baby. I think you could.
maybe one day.
We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for doing it, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
I don't think he should. If a tour event gives him an invite, I don't think he should play. I don't think there's anything in it. Like, he's such a superstar.
Yeah, he can only lose, right?
Right. Like, if he goes out there and makes the cut, then it's like, great, he makes the cut. We knew he was a good player, and and if he doesn't, then it's people are going to dunk on him. Like, why not just be the best YouTuber? I just don't think there's any benefit.
He's having too much. I love him. He's great.
Yeah,
good kid.
He's a really good kid. And like sometimes with people who have that much success, you wonder if it's genuine. It's 100% genuine with him. Like, he's just a really, really nice kid. Got to interview Carson Daly this week. What's your history with Carson Daly?
I mean, I used to watch him on TV every single day.
Yeah, TRL.
School, yeah,
you were TRL generation.
Big TRL generation.
So he's a huge golf guy.
Which I didn't know.
He grew up playing golf with Tiger Woods. We talked about that. We talked about a bunch of other stuff. Enjoy our chat with Carson Daly. All right, we are here with a legend of the game. Hey. Legend of the broadcasting game.
Oh, thank you.
That's you. That's you.
Thank you.
Carson Daly. I'm really excited about this.
Thank you, man. Me too.
We're here at the Players' Championship. I was saying this is my favorite tournament to come to, and you were saying you feel maybe similarly.
I love it. I mean, the golf course. I mean, Pete Dye really made this thing just for spectators. Like, so just from a spectator standpoint, not behind the ropes, walking the course. I'm here with my son this week. We were just walking around. Like, you can find these cool places just to sit, and it's just a special place. I mean, it's prom for the PGA. I mean, the headquarters is right here. They got 40 out of the top 50 this week. It's a great field. They just do such a great job with the concessions. It's just got a great vibe. The weather's great. It's amazing.
So you're a golf nut.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were a golf nut before, like, everyone in Hollywood was a golf nut.
I played golf I'm 51. So when I played in the late 80s, early 90s in golf in LA.
Yeah.
Like in Santa Monica.
A guy named Tiger around.
Tiger and I grew up playing junior golf together, and we were the only idiots in the summer who wouldn't go surf. We would go play golf. And Jason Gore and a few other guys from Southern California. But it wasn't cool. No, Michael Jordan wasn't prolifically playing golf and making it cool at the time. I lettered in high school. I was a freshman, and I had a big S for Santa Monica, and I had a golf club on it, and girls would just come up and go
loser.
It may as well have been an L for loser. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, what sport is that? As a golf? Like, my granddad plays golf, so no, it wasn't cool, but I mean, I've loved it since go.
So when you were doing MTV and stuff. Like the musicians weren't playing. Like, have you noticed a change?
At that point, they were starting. So Adrian Young, the drummer of No Doubt, he and I were really good friends, probably back in the day in the late '90s, and he was a big golfer. And I would interview bands, and a lot of them would start to bring their golf clubs on tour and play a lot. Alice Cooper's obviously somebody who's probably the biggest rock star who's championed golf for a long time. But yeah, I've seen it change now. I mean, now it's totally different. Yeah, now it's like the coolest sport in the world.
Yeah, all the quarterbacks are playing golf.
Yeah, people love it.
Yeah, it's wild. It's good for my business.
No, of course it is.
I like it a lot. What role does golf play in your life now? Obviously, you're a very busy guy. Do you get to play a lot?
It plays a lot. I mean, I lost my dad when I was young, so my whole relationship with my father, who's passed away since, my stepdad was on the golf course. My son now is 16 and plays golf. And so, we try and come to events like this together and do like father-son stuff. I mean, his world's busy. So if I can say, hey, Jack, let's go play 9 holes, I get him, to myself in a golf cart on the golf course. So golf plays that kind of role.
Does he put the phone away or does the phone?
He does. Yeah, no, he loves to play golf. And selfishly, I like to spend time with him. And I played Fortnite with him for a long time. And then that just ran its course. So golf, and I love to play. We live on Long Island in New York, so we have a lot of great golf around us. I just get so jazzed about it. And then working at NBC and having an opportunity to come here, I'm always like, can I go to this or can I do that? I'm trying to insert myself in as much golf as possible.
Who wins?
I still have the upper hand, I think, on that a little bit. But I had that S1 to L5 spine fusion.
I didn't have a fusion, but that's what I heard eating in my disc. I was telling Jonah, L5 S1. It's like almost in the butt.
Yeah.
Not a fun one. I had pain. It was going like down.
It's a good one, though, because the lower back is a good place to fuse if you have to fuse it.
I don't want to fuse.
You should. I wish I'd done it sooner.
Really?
It was very easy. They went through the front, fused it, and I'm a new human being. So golf has taken up a whole new, I can play now. I was in a lot of pain. If you need it, I highly recommend it. If you need it out there, America, call this 800 number.
What's your favorite memory of Tiger when you guys were young?
So we played SoCal junior golf together, and I was in the 17, 18 practice. We were a little bit apart. And just every tournament where I thought I'd play well, we'd all stand around the board back in the day and look at the scores. And there'd be this kid who would shoot, 68 or something, like in the little league, who would just beat all of us older ones. So, and then we played a lot of the HAGA events, and it was the same thing. We played in Vegas once. I've told the story a bunch. It was like 120 in Vegas, and we all played, and we're just dying to get off the golf course. And he was the only one out on the range with his dad, still hitting balls, and we were all just like, that guy's going to be good.
He's going to do something.
That guy's really dumb, but he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And he had that extra gear. And I got to see it in junior golf.
Yeah. You still have a relationship with him?
I just played with him and Charlie and my son Jackson at the PNC in December.
Oh, my God.
And that was it was great to spend some time with him. I'm sorry to hear what just happened to him yesterday, but he was in great spirits and physically was doing great. And yeah, we actually have a lot of old history together.
Yeah, you guys go way back.
Yeah, we do.
You can't make that up. Old golf buddies.
Yeah, it happens to be Tiger. It's fun. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, dear. I appreciate you, man. Yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Fun interview.
You know what that made me think of? There is an entire generation of Southern Californians that were born, taught golf, and then never got to do shit with it because they grew up the same age as Tiger Woods. How many good golfers in Southern California didn't win a trophy they would have won in an alternative universe because they happen to be born in that county?
It's still worth it. Still worth it to be like old golf buddies with Tiger Woods.
True.
I think that's awesome. And it's he's talking about playing with his son. It's just this game is the great equalizer. Like Carson Daly's had a crazy career, but he just wants to be out there playing golf with his son.
Did you know Alice Cooper was a golf nut?
I did. I think so.
I did too.
Yeah. Kenny G is another one. Who I know. Justin Timberlake. Those were kind of the early adapters. Now it's not even cool. Like Harry Styles obsessed with golf. Justin Bieber plays golf. All the celebrities. All the celebrities. We'll probably see some celebrities at the Ryder Cup. How's that for a segue? We're gonna do some Ryder Cup picks. So we did this a couple weeks ago. We're gonna do this after kind of every set of big tournaments. So we did it a couple weeks ago. There were some signature events. We've had some other signature events. So we're gonna make our picks as though the Ryder Cup was tomorrow. So this is not who we think will be on the team. This is if the Ryder Cup was tomorrow, who would be our picks. I'm bringing on. We had Luke Curtinine on last time. We got a new Brit. We got James Gregg stepping into the chair, gonna make his picks. Greggy, I believe, is joining us live from the United Kingdom. Hello, James.
Hello, Danny. I nearly did a Danny Walker, actually, when you texted me the other day, invited me on. I shed a tear.
Yeah.
It's so good to be here, man.
You shed just one tear, though. Just one tear. All right, so we're gonna run through these. I'm gonna start. I'll make a pick. You make a pick. Give a little explanation, and then we'll talk about the guys afterwards who are just left off. So I'm gonna start with Scotty Scheffler once again. he's finished in the top 20, I think, in all his starts this year. So it hasn't been, maybe there was one, maybe Phoenix where he didn't. But he's been, he's playing good. He's not playing as well as he was last year, but that's a very high bar. But Scotty's still the number one player in the world, still someone I very much want anchoring my team.
It's amazing, isn't it, that in fact we talk about Scheffler and the fact he's not played great, but I looked and he's like 15th on the FedEx Cup points list at early stages of the season. Amazing. Obviously, I'm heading my team up with Rory McIlroy. Just hours ago, second Players' Championship crown. The love story of Rory in the Ryder Cup is amazing, isn't it? And you may remember before he even played in the Ryder Cup,
exhibition,
and then since this will be his 8th at Bethpage. He's had some great tussles with some of the big American stars. The one with P. Reed. I know he was on the wrong side of that at Hazeltine, but some of those great. I mean, he was there for Capgate as well. You and I were walking around, weren't we, for much of that at Marco Simone? And Rory in the Ryder Cup's like a great love story. I don't need to say anymore.
I like how he said Capgate because we call it Hatgate over here. It's just a little bit of a cultural difference. Number 2, I'm going with Colin Morikawa. Really strong start to the year, not just at the microphone, but he's got 2 second place finishes, 2 T17s, and then a T10 at the Players' Championship just recently. Fiery guy, has played well in these competitions in the past. Great iron player, can pair with anyone, any format. Colin's my number 2.
Ludwig Åberg is my second pick because Bethpage. I mean, LKD said this, didn't he, last time when he was picking a few weeks ago on your show. His game just suits Bethpage perfectly well, doesn't it? I mean, if you wanted somebody to hit a tee shot in a small square 320 yards down the middle of a really tight fairway, you'd be picking Ludwig. I can't think of any other player. Scotty, when he was on song last year, maybe. But Ludwig's just an absolute... I mean, it's going to be a brutish test, isn't it? And a brutish test not just with the golf course, but also, from a European perspective at least, with the fans. And I just think with his temperament, he's so cool, so calm. Everything that will be thrown at him, it'll just be like water off a duck's back. And remember, this is a guy who was part of that duo who smashed Brooks and Scotty 9 and 8. So I think Ludwig is going to be a main staple of that Ryder Cup team from a European perspective for years to come.
Yeah, well, he made one without ever having played in a major, and now he's done a little bit more in his career since he did miss the cut. I picked him to win the Players. He missed the cut. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm sticking by him as my pick to win the Masters. My number 3 is Justin Thomas. All of these birdies that he's making, that's what you need in match play. He's played at a top 10 level most of this entire year, and he's sort of the heart and soul of this team. Like, I feel like emotionally, if Rory or maybe Rahm is kind of that guy on the European side, it feels like JT has taken that leadership role. He made the team when he was playing terrible, and he's not playing terrible now, so I see no reason why he will not be in Bethpage.
JT is the sort of person that from my side, when I look at the Ryder Cup through blue and yellow glasses, I just dread it.
Yeah, you don't want to see him. You don't want to play against him.
Exactly, and you guys have had that with Poulter years ago, and I'm going to throw a name that I think you are probably going to agree with me, not from a personality standpoint, but certainly from a Ryder Cup, oh no, not him, standpoint, is Tommy Fleetwood. I'm thinking 16th tee, Marco Simone, high cut onto that par 4 effectively to kind of close the whole thing out. If you look back at Paris, he was 4 out of 5, that famous partnership with Francesco Molinari. That was on debut as well. I can't believe that. I mean, he's been around for such a long time. He's a bit of a comfort blanket, Tommy Fleetwood, for us Europeans. It's an absolute no-brainer that he's going to make the team. I would love him to win on the PGA Tour this year, though, in the build-up to that. It's unbelievable that he's never won on the PGA Tour. Obviously, a multiple winner on the DP World Tour. Some great performances down the years. I know he got his heart broken by Nick Taylor at the Canadian Open a couple of summers back. But, great character and lovely hair. Not that counts for anything.
No, it counts. It definitely counts. And you're right. I mean, Tommy's also someone that I think can pair with anyone. And I think, there is a little bit of scar tissue with the PGA Tour and not closing it out, but that doesn't exist in the Ryder Cup. He turns into a killer at the Ryder Cup. All right, my number 4, the star, the protagonist of Capgate, as James called it, Patrick Cantlay. Another very quiet, tied for 12th. But he's just very, very consistent. You know what you're getting. He might not be everyone's favorite player, but the results speak for themselves. And after Hatgate, I feel like it's a must. I feel like the fans are going to have a lot of fun with that at Bethpage. And also, he was great at the President's Cup. He was, I think, the U.S.'s best player that week. So I'm going Cantlay number 4.
He's he's another one, isn't he? From my side, I wish that he had some kind of Italian grandparents or something, and we could claim him, because he is just not the person that you want to be coming up against. I'm going to counteract that with Sepp Straka, already a win, and a couple of top tens at the time of recording. Did okay at the Players. He was kind of flirting with getting into contention a little bit on Saturday, but just went a little bit cold. But there isn't a shaky part to his game. He's a bit like Xander Schauffele for me, Danny, in the sense that, you look at all his metrics on all the different stats, and he's just so solid in everything. There's not a component to his game where you go, ooh, I tell you what, if that's not quite on, he's nowhere. He's just so solid all round. And, I talk about Ludwig being a cold-blooded killer in the sense of anything that the New Yorkers are going to be thrown at him in terms of, taunts and insults and jibes, because there will be some, as we know, there will be plenty. I just think that he's got an amazing temperament, and he's just not going to be bothered by anybody.
He's basically American. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have an accent. He went to Georgia, so I mean, the fact that
did you hear this last time? Before the last Ryder Cup, we had, in fact, it was our friend Ian Carter from the BBC asked him, said, look, how much have you watched the Ryder Cup before? And, is it something? He said, no. Not really. And for Europeans, that's like, no, that's the wrong
he's
thing
American.
to say.
He's basically American. I'm going to go with my fifth pick. I'm going to go with Bryson DeChambeau. He's playing fine on live. Not really too bothered about it. But what I saw in the majors last year was enough. Was not on the team of Marco Simone. He wasn't even really in the conversation. But the majors in 2024 were incredible. Had a chance to win the Masters. Had a chance to win the PGA Championship. Won the Open Championship. Just how far he hits it, how well he puts it. Bryson's going to be on this team. I feel pretty sure about that.
A few years ago, if I'd have said Bob McIntyre, not only would you have gone who, but you would have also said, this guy, he's barely scratching the surface on the DP World Tour. But since he's just turned himself into, he's just gone through that glass ceiling that I thought he was kind of headbutting, and he's just smashed straight through it, hasn't he? Great Ryder Cup debut. Obviously dragged along by Justin Rose. The win in Canada last year with his dad rose to the occasion. And then a few weeks after that, up at Renaissance Club the week before the Open, wins the Scottish Open in amazing style as well. You talk about somebody who's going to try and respond with backs against the wall. I think he's got that strut, he's got that swagger. And I also don't think that this time around he's going to be a 2 or 3 times a week kind of guy. I think we're going to see a little bit more of Bob McIntyre in Bethpage.
I think he's grown up. He's grown in confidence, especially playing in the U.S. My next one is a bit of a faith play here. Xander Schauffele. It hasn't been pretty, I will say, since he's come back. This was his second event. He made the cut, which is, that cut streak. It's like 58. There's a lot of no-cut events included in there. He shot 81 on Sunday. Finished dead last among players who made the cut, but he said he was had a pitch count basically for how many balls he was allowed to hit, and he said he was just going to blow through that because he was tired of the way he was playing. So it's getting to be major season. Xander hasn't done much, but 2 majors last year. I'm giving him the faith play.
It was only a year ago we were talking about Xander Schauffele as being a perennial bottler, wasn't it? After Riviera and all that. So look, things can change quickly in the game. I'm going to throw Shane Lowry, unbelievable short game player, great Ryder Cup spirit, gets pumped, gets stuck in. He's got a pretty good record as well now. Even in the losing cause during that weird COVID one at Whistling Straits, and also I thought performed pretty well when he was chasing an uncatchable Rory McIlroy at Pebble a few weeks ago, really. And he's the sort of person that I'd imagine Americans don't want to see pegging it up in the Ryder Cup.
He's super likable. He's hard to root against too, which makes it difficult. It's always nicer when Ian Poulter was sort of the same way, but it was easy to root against Ian. It's a lot harder to root against Shane Lowry. I'm going with Russell Henley. He's a dog, Georgia Bulldog. Won at Bay Hill. Was great at the President's Cup. Solid player. The other guys want him on the team. Another steady guy you could pair with anybody. Kind of leading the Southern Boy contingent. Russell Henley.
He's a nice guy, isn't he? Really nice chap. Good player as well. Great win. Thomas Dietrich next up. Can't believe that LKD left him out. I was thinking, what are you doing, man? The guy was, he blew everyone away at the WM. Great temperament as well. Consistency is his issue, though, isn't it? I think he's the sort of player that I think in 4 balls at the Ryder Cup would be pretty potent. You could unlock something pretty special from Thomas Dietrich in that format. Remember Nicholas Colsaerts, Belgian?
Big Belgian hit a long way, yeah.
Exactly, and Thomas Pieters as well, to be fair. He's from that kind of mould. I know I'm just generalising Belgian golfers here, but they all have this kind of well, the three that are, if D.O.G makes the team, it's going to be 3 Belgian players who've pulled on the blue and yellow, and they all are kind of cut from a very similar cloth. If they get hot, they get hot. Belgium does great chocolate, great beer, stunning cities, and quite clearly, very, very good players.
Good beer. I had a great beer tour. I went on a beer tour in Belgium where you went to like every different, these bars are from like the 1400s, and it was increasing in alcohol content. So the first one was like 4%, 6%. You end up drinking like a 60. It's like basically red wine. Okay, I'm going Akshay Bhatia. I was on this before. You could check the tapes. I picked him before he had this great run at the Players' Championship. You need some youthfulness. You need some energy. A little concerned about the broomstick. He was really tentative with his putts this week, but a tremendous ball striker. Feels like he's been around a while. Still only 23 years old. I think he's going to be a multiple Ryder Cup player in the future, and I think he gets his first start at Bethpage.
Yeah, that's a very good shout, and he could be one of those kind of spine of your team as well, couldn't he, for quite a while, I think, going forwards. Next one, rogue shout here from me, Stephen Yeager. Love this guy. Absolutely love this guy. As you, well, less of that, please, Daniel. Look, as you know, I commentate on the PGA Tour every single week, and all our broadcasts are across Europe. So anytime there's a European up there, or somebody with a European country flag next to their name, it kind of feels a bigger occasion on our broadcast. Okay. So when Stephen Yeager is featuring, which is a lot, by the way, it's nearly every week it feels like he's up there. He plays like a top 10 player at times. And remember, he's the only one to have taken Scotty down last year in what was effectively a head-to-head duel. I know Scotty wasn't at his brilliant best last year in Houston, but right in the middle of the hot streak, that is a nice thing to have in your back pocket to take into a Ryder Cup. Yeah, absolutely. My next one is Tony Finau. I'm curious. I'm waiting for Tyrrell Hatton. You haven't said Tyrrell Hatton yet. Maybe I would love for him not to be there. Tony Finau. He missed the cut this week. He's working with Chris Como, though. I'm a big believer in Chris Como. What he did with Bryson DeChambeau, what he did with Xander Schauffele. I feel like it's only a matter of time with Tony. It's going to be a big ballpark. It's going to be long. Tony's hits the ball a long way. Has had a lot of success on big major venues. Hasn't won one, obviously, but has been up there a bunch. And just a meaty guy. A guy you can throw in 4 balls, like you said, play his own ball, make some birdies out there, get hot. I'm taking Tony with me. I'll be honest with you, Danny, and this is no disrespect to Tony Finau as a golfer, because everything you've just said about him is right. From what I've seen this year, I'm not that worried. All right. If he's on the team. But he can turn a corner. This is the whole point of this feature, right? I'm guessing it's way too early Ryder Cup picks. Tyrrell Hatton, my next pick. There you go. Look, won the Dubai Desert Classic, very strong field. Won the Dunhill back ender last year as well at St Andrews. He's basically been like the Joaquin Niemann of Europe, in the sense that he's really taking the world rankings seriously. He's really keen to obviously keep competing and contending in major championships, and he's got enough credit in the bank, I think, from Luke Donald, who is I think a little bit anti-live, and I think that actually because of what he's done in the last 6-7 months, I think actually he's going to be in the picture, even if he is playing a little bit of hit and giggle all year long.
Yeah, and especially because Rory said he'll be. I think he said he'll be a menace there, so I think he's a lock. All right, I'm going. If you thought the Tony Finau pick was a little out there, these last 3 are going to blow your mind. I'm going Denny McCarthy. I've said this throughout. I want a guy who puts the lights out, who is going to frustrate people like an Ian Poulter. We've said Ian Poulter a lot of times in this, but it is the Ryder Cup, and Ian Poulter comes up a lot. Denny's a dog. His ball striking's gotten much better, and he's the best putter on the planet. And I just think in match play, you want the best putter on the planet. I've been waiting for him to get his chance. I'm going with Denny McCarthy.
You know what? That is, I actually completely agree with you.
Thank you.
Because I said this last year on Twitter, and I got absolute pelters for
Twitter,
it.
They were mean to you on Twitter? That's weird.
No, I know, it's strange, isn't it? You don't know anything about that. I'd love to be in your shoes in that regard. John Rahm is next. I'm still kind of a little bit undecided, really, to be honest. The only other one I can see with credit in the bank from a European perspective, and the fact he's part of the spine of the team, from the last 4 stagings, he's going to be desperate to play as well. I think that's the crucial thing.
Are you suggesting that he might not make the team? I mean, he's definitely making the team.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He is. The only thing is that he needs to do something, I think, this year. To absolutely guarantee it.
I would say as long as
think
his right arm doesn't fall off, he's on the team.
I would want to see him win a DP World Tour event, or at least do well in something of significance, like Hatton has in the lead-up, just to prove that actually this guy's still got serious levels when he needs them. Because he's the sort of person that when he went to live, I thought he was going to win every week, and he hasn't. So, you know, and look, he is obviously going to be on the team.
Look, if you want to leave him off, we can make arrangements for that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
That's totally fine. All right. My second to last pick is Jake Knapp. It's a big boy ballpark, so I had sort of three different names I was thinking about for this spot: Jake Knapp, Wyndham Clark, and Brooks Koepka. It might be, you know, this might have been a little bit of a content pick. Like Brooks, if really was under the gun, I might have picked Brooks. But I mean, Jake Knapp's playing really well. T17 at the Genesis, T25 in Mexico, T6 at the Cognizant, including that 59, T12 at the Players, which I thought was a really positive step for him because he's contended in the past on golf courses that are really wide and really generous, where you know it's kind of a bomb and gouge fest. TPC Sawgrass in the wind, anything but. Working hard with Dana Dahlquist, who's a terrific coach, and I think the crowd would have a lot of fun with him. I think he would be someone that they would really get behind. I'm going with Jake Knapp.
Definitely. He looks Australian as well, doesn't he? With the little mullet and the patch. Yeah, I like it. President's Cup team, lock in. No, Jake Knapp's a good shout. I kind of fear that from a European standpoint. This isn't going to be a name that strikes fear into you, I don't think, but we'll wait and see. Aaron Wright, he'll be a rookie. I'm going to side with my compatriot LKD. I think his levels are a joke. He practices so hard. He's a winner on tour. I thought the manner in which he won there at Sedgefield, which is a really difficult tournament to win because obviously it's just an absolute scrap, isn't it? So everybody's trying to lock in their cards and all that.
100 degrees.
Like, well, yeah, exactly. People sweating through their trousers when it's raining. It's like, really? You know, I just think last year, you know, second in approach all season on the PGA Tour last year. That's a guy you want on your team. I also wouldn't be surprised if he wins again this season on the PGA Tour, just for good measure. So Aaron Wright, I think, will make his debut.
Wolverhampton's own Aaron Wright, Man United fan though. Okay, my last one is Daniel Berger, Boog Knight. You know, we talk about, Keegan was saying how much he's an outsider. He feels like he's not friends with these guys. Boog is an insider. He's really tight with JT and Spieth and that whole squad, and quietly playing really, really nice. Tied for second at the WM Phoenix Open, 12th at the Genesis, T25 at Cognizant, T15 at Bay Hill, T20 Players. He putts it really, really well, does things his own way. Just a cool guy that people can get behind. I'm thinking Daniel Berger plays his way back onto the Ryder Cup team, and if it was tomorrow, I would pick him.
DB straight vibing. Again, somebody I can really get behind, actually, as a golf fan, and good to see him back. He was a genuine stud when he had that back injury, wasn't he? You know,
stud.
Proper player. Love the way he swings it as well. Now, my final name here is one that you are going to go, who? Well, you won't, Danny, because you know golf, but I think a lot of listeners and viewers will. Rasmus Nygaard Peterson. Not the Rasmus that you're expecting.
Yeah.
Is it that?
Well, my head went to Rasmus Højgaard, and then it went to Rasmus Højlund, who scored a goal, but it's Rasmus Nygaard Peterson.
Get your head out of Manchester United,
never,
Danny.
bro.
Come on.
Never, bro.
This guy is an absolute baller. If we recorded this 2 years ago to the day, and I suggested Ludwig Åberg, with no major status, no top 10 on the PGA Tour CV, still playing college golf, you'd have probably gone, well, no chance. But I think I'm going to kind of roll the dice on this guy. This guy's way further ahead than Ludwig was 2 years ago. You know, he's ahead of Jake Knapp, Ricky Fowler, Andrew Novak in the world ranking, 77th now after his runner-up in Puerto Rico a couple of weeks ago. He's got game. He was a top college player. Oklahoma State, which is basically a cattle farm for PGA Tour players, isn't it? And, you know, he's won 3 times on the Challenge Tour last year, which goes under the radar, I know. 13th on the race to Dubai on the DP World Tour at the moment. Watch out for him. He is definitely, I can tell you this, on Luke Donald's radar, so he should be on everybody else's as well.
Rasmus Nygaard Peterson. Remember the name. Thank you so much, Greggy. That was fantastic. I don't know what we're going to have back next. It's going to be a battle between LKD and Greggy. I'm going to have to rewatch the segment. But thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, mate.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, we're going to move into a segment that we've had the only guest that we've had every single Dan on Golf show, Rick Gehman, for Give Us a Winner. Rick has brought the receipts because I was thinking to myself, man, this guy's got to be up. We have a graphic, I think, showing how awesome Rick has been for us. Yeah, here it is. We're up 21.5 units. Now, I will say, A lot of those are from Ludwig, winning at 22-1. But units are units. We don't units are units, and we don't unit shame. And he is up. If you bet $100 on all these picks, you'd be up over $2,000. So start trailing Rick. Rick, talk to me, my friend. How we doing?
Money's money, Dan. Doesn't matter how it gets into the bank account, my friend.
That is money. It's money. So we had Colin last week. You picked Colin after a heartbreak.
Yeah.
Tell me about you're picking another guy after a little bit of a heartbreak. Tell me about Valspar and tell me why you like who you like.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not even sure you're aware of this, but things have been shaken up since you've been on air.
We've got breaking news.
What's breaking news. Akshay Bhatia has withdrawn from this event.
Wow, that's tough for. Okay, so give us a new pick.
So here's the deal. Your team is great because I said, hey, while I'm backstage, Akshay WDs, let's get a different pick going in here. So Akshay was going to be the pick. We are pivoting to JT Poston. He's 45-1. So this is the longest outright that we've had thus far here, Dan. And there's a couple of things that I think are brewing for JT. First off, he has been miserable with the putter in 2025, just hemorrhaging strokes everywhere. That's the best part of his game. Finally picked up 5 strokes with the putter last week. The ball striking metrics are there. And when he gets going, when he gets hot, it's like a microwave. It happens very, very quickly. He can go on and he can win golf tournaments. And to answer your original question, I mean, Valspar, it's Florida golf, but it's not going to feel like it. This is a course that kind of allows someone like JT Poston to go out there and battle, the snake pit, battle Innisbrook, and find a lot of success. But yeah, that is breaking news. We were on Akshay Bhatia until like 6 minutes ago, and your crew got this updated that fast.
Shout out to Josh, shout out to Johnny and the boys in the back. Absolutely grinding. I think we're about to hear more about this Rasmus character.
This is unbelievable. I mean, like, just play everything James said, because I've got Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson to finish inside the top 40 this week at plus 125. He's absolutely right. The kid's a stud. The metrics are there. He passes the eye test. The Denmark to Oklahoma State to Challenge Tour to DP World Tour to PGA Tour path is kind of where we're headed right now. And there's only so much that this guy can do. I mean, listen, runner-up in Qatar, runner-up in Puerto Rico. I'm asking him to finish inside the top 40, and we're getting plus money on it. I'm so stoked that James Gregg was thinking the same thing, because you don't hear many people talk about this Rasmus.
Rasmus, man. It's all coming up, Rasmus. Everything is coming up, Rasmus. You've got a fun bet for our last one here.
I do. I wanted to get a little bit freaky here. And this golf tournament, and Innisbrook in general, it has one of the smallest, closest distributions of scores. So last week, there's a wide distribution. You could shoot 63, 83. This golf tournament is much closer. It's actually top 10 in terms of closest distribution. And what that creates is a lot of close finishes. So I've got the winning margin to be exactly 1 stroke. It's 2-1. 8 of the last 10 have been in a playoff or 1 stroke. 12 of the last 15 have been in a playoff or by 1 stroke. And it's because of the nature of this golf course, Dan. It just creates a lot of really close situations coming down the stretch. I'm going to take a little bit of a chance, 2-1, that this thing ends in exactly 1 stroke.
I love that bet because you're interested on Sunday no matter who's winning.
I was going to say it's great for the watch along.
It's great for the watch along. We'll keep track of that for the watch along. You know what I also like about Rasmus Nørgaard Peterson? The Oklahoma State thing makes me feel like he's a lot better, Like he's familiar with the standard. He's a baller. He's a baller. All right, thank you so much, Rick. You're up to over 21 units. We're going to keep it going.
All right,
my friend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Later, Rick.
All right, guys, you've probably been admiring my my sweater here. Well, it's Sugarloaf Social Club. They have been one of my favorite brands for a long time. Everything they make is just really cool and quality, really fun items. They've got you covered head to toe. They make hats. They make socks now. And they're more than an apparel brand. They've got head covers. They've got grips. Anything else that you could think of. It's like a bat signal for a golf nerd. Sugarloaf Social Club is a safe space for the golf sicko in your life. The story of the brand and how it started, just a friends group chat called Sugarloaf Social Club that grew to making items for that crew to now just an awesome golf brand. It's such a fun and unique story, and Sugarloaf Social Club almost never discounts their stuff, like actually never. And yes, some stuff is probably sold out because they're very popular, but they're letting us give a 10% off for your first order made this week. Just use the code DANONGOLF in all caps, DANONGOLF at checkout. Exclusions apply. Check them out, SugarloafSocialClub.com. Sugarloaf Social Club. I got to get better at saying that. SugarloafSocialClub.com. Promo code DANONGOLF for 10% off your first order. Get items like these that are just tremendous. We're gonna shift vibes here a little bit. We're gonna talk about Tiger Woods. I think this could be the end. Not, he's obviously still involved in the game. He's doing all the PGA Tour governance stuff. He's behind TGL. But this dropped right before the Players' Week. We have a statement here. Tiger has ruptured his Achilles. As I began to ramp up my own training and practice at home, I felt a sharp pain in my left Achilles, which was deemed to be ruptured. Not torn, ruptured. This morning, Dr. Charlton Stucken of Hospital for Special Surgery in West Palm Beach, Florida, performed a minimally invasive Achilles tendon repair for a ruptured tendon. The surgery went smoothly and we expect a full recovery, added Dr. Stucken. I am back home now and plan to focus on my recovery and rehab. Thank you for all the support. And we had a segment on last week talking about the state of Tiger because he hadn't committed to play in the Players. And we watched this clip, and I'm going to watch it again because it hits even harder now. Tiger talking about his heart.
I mean, I haven't. This is the third time I've touched the club since my mom passed, so I haven't really gotten into it. My heart's not really into practicing right now. I've had so many other things to do with the tour and trying to do other things. And so, yeah, and once I start probably feeling a little bit better and start getting into it, I'll start looking at the schedule.
If his heart's not in it, his body's doubly not in it. I mean, this Achilles is left Achilles, so it's not the leg that had all the issues with the accident. It's the other one. And a lot of people...
The one that takes all the weight.
The one that takes all the weight in the golf swing. And... a lot of people were comparing him to Bernhard Langer, who came back from an Achilles tear in like 3 months. Bernhard Langer, despite being 18 years older than Tiger, his body's in much better condition than Tiger's is. And, coming back from an Achilles is brutal for an athlete at the top of their career. And if his heart's not in it, you just have to wonder, because his heart was what was keeping him in it. His heart was what he was getting up at 5 a.m. to work out. And let's also talk about, we have his results. It's been over 4 years. It's been over 4 years since the accident. His best finish in 4 years is a T45 at the Genesis Invitational. That Hero World Challenge was 18th out of 20 players. So it wasn't good before this. This is another thing. And I'm just really sad. What are you feeling?
I think this graphic we're looking at is kind of a reminder of how long we've been holding on to something that's not real.
4 years.
Yeah. So I feel almost more relief this time than anything. Because I think you're right. We probably have seen the end of what we all hope for. And his heart is what keeps him in it. His heart is why when I call and talk to my dad about it, he's like, well, you never know.
Tiger
2019 changed everything for our expectations, but I think it's time we dial him back and we just appreciate that he can still be a part of the game, because we're all going to be a little bit happier if we don't put ourselves through that. Can he do it this time?
Yeah, and we do it every year. I mean, we did it at the PNC when he's playing with Charlie. Tiger looks dialed. And we thought this was going to be another year where he's going to try to ramp it up and play some more. He's probably not playing golf at all the rest of the year, I would guess. I mean, definitely not in the majors.
The physical advantages were so great, right? Like, the mental advantages can still be there. Obviously, the physical advantages were so great, and that they're gone now. It's more than equalized.
Well, his right leg was crushed by the weight of an SUV. It's got rods and all this stuff. His left knee, he had surgery on it 4 times, I believe. Now he's got an Achilles on his left leg.
All the back
stuff. At a certain point, it's about walking and enjoying your life.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know.
The game needs him to be an ambassador for the game as long as he's upright, right? If he gets mangled anymore, then you can't do that.
He needs to stay mobile. He needs to be able to be out there. I think you're right. I think we have to officially just stop with that. Stop with he's going to play more this year. I think it's just...
And just be happy to see him hitting golf shots when we do, whether it's TGL or at Augusta if he makes it there, that can be enough.
I don't know. This just felt like there was some finality in this one.
I think the word ruptured probably we were in the media center when this came through. We found out everybody's buzzing around rupture. Oh, that sounds bad.
It just there was a the other injuries. I had a minor knee surgery, a minor back surgery to ruptured Achilles. It's just if you could choose it's one of the worst injuries you would give an athlete, especially 49-year-old who has to swing onto his left side. So yeah, just sad. I was just really bummed. I'm really bummed he won't be at the Masters. I mean, he'll be there. He'll be at the Champions Dinner, I'm sure, but bummed that he's not going to be playing. On a very, very, very different note, we've got an epidemic and it's of the stroking variety.
It's getting bad.
It's getting bad. It's getting funny. It's really funny. So this really started with Brooks Koepka and the slow play debate, and they were talking. He said the only way to make a difference is to start stroking guys, and I don't know if it's a bit, but they keep saying it. We got a little compilation here. Let's show it.
Honestly, I'd start stroking guys. If you're going to take that long, you got to get stroked.
You just have to start stroking guys and giving guys actual penalties.
But my frustration was that if I did get stroked, how is that my fault? You know, if the volunteers don't tell me and I get stroked for something that I didn't know happened, it kind of seems unfair.
I'll get stroked for something that I didn't know happened. Do you think it's is it like a Jimmy Fallon thing where like he gives them these, or did Brooks just say it and now it's spreading?
I hope it is, because they're doing a good job of like playing it off like it's natural. Like that Wyndham comment was very earnest.
Like it wasn't. That wasn't even. Yeah, like the Colin one might have been a little bit cheeky because he was talking about stroking guys for slow play, but Wyndham was just talking about adding a stroke to your score. And if I get stroked, it's the way. It's not my fault. If I get stroked for something I had no idea about, it's not my fault. I want it to keep going. So if any PGA Tour players are watching this, please use stroked in your. You have to use it, but you also you have to be deadpan.
Yeah, you have to sell it.
You can't laugh. So I don't even. It's stroking epidemic. Maybe we should have called it like a stroking phenomenon.
If they actually start stroking guys for slow play, we're gonna get a lot more.
Well, I just don't want to get stroked for something that I had no idea about.
You shouldn't be stroked without knowing you're about to be stroked.
You got to stroke him.
Some guy out there has to tell you he's about to stroke you. If you're
before I get stroked, I need someone to tell me about that he's going to stroke me.
It's just consent.
Yeah, that's just it's just kindness.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. Our dog of the week is Justin Thomas. Dog mentality. Shoots 78 the first round, which he actually had to battle to shoot. He was 8 over par through 16 holes, started on the back 9, birdied 8 and 9 on Friday to post 78, and then kept it going to shoot a course record tying 62 on Friday. And that was a dog mentality necessary to shoot that 62. And he did it in the afternoon, which was the harder wave. You can see that scorecard. I like great photo selection there. You can see just how different everything looked. I think we have some shot link too. Just he was a mess everywhere. Yeah, look at that. He lost 3.9 with his approach. He picked up 3.6. He actually chipped it worse in round 2, but probably didn't need to chip it nearly as much. We have some highlights. Let's show a little bit of this JT round. Started on the very first hole, +6. You're thinking, the cut, by the way, guys, was -1. So he needed to shoot 65 just to make the cut. Started with a really good bounce here on 1 to set up a birdie. Continued throughout the round, and then the money moment was really on 17. He was 10 under for his round. Yeah, there he's 4 under. And needed to shoot 11 under to shoot the course record. Hit a really good shot into 17, and then this was getting late on Friday. The crowd is going crazy. The greens are super fast, and this thing just falls right in the center. Perfect speed. Made a bit of a mess on 18, hit it into the right trees, had to pitch out. Tried to pitch out, went into the water, then said he hit his best shot of the day, actually, was his 4th shot on 18 to save the bogey and to save 62. Justin Thomas, you are our dog of the week. Well earned. Listen, we gave it to Mr. 80-60, Sebastian Gross. He shot 80-60 in a professional golf tournament on the Challenge Tour. Justin Thomas shot 78-62 at the Players Championship.
Mr. 140. Can we call him that?
Yeah, Mr. 140. Yeah, that's
math quick.
That's 678 plus. Yeah, it's 140. There are many different ways to shoot 140. We're gonna finish this week as we always do with Chirps from the Gallery. I love the internet. You guys were firing this week. Let's start it. Let's roll our first one. We got Officer Gillis. Yeah, Officer Gillis made an appearance. Officer Gillis has weighed in on the Rory versus phone situation. If I'm there, Rory isn't leaving the premises unless he's handcuffed in my cop car, says Officer Gillis. Obviously, calling back to the.
I scrolled past this on my phone very fast and thought it was real, and until this moment where I just saw it. So that was a nice 48 hours.
Yeah, nice for you to know that Officer Gillis was not actually giving official statements. Colton Nose tweeted at JT that they were on a list of, they were the only guys to make 10 birdies in a round at TPC Sawgrass, and then JT made 11 on Friday and said, whoops, sorry Colton Nose, that was great. Next, I got a real bone to pick. They keep saying this was earlier on the broadcast. They said it a bunch on the Players broadcast. Just lie to me. I don't need to know this was earlier. And I've done broadcasts now. What happens is the producer will say in your head, this was earlier. You can just not say it. I don't know if there's a law. They never said you have to say it. It's just, I guess it's like you're telling the truth to the viewer. Just lie to me. A lot of the shots aren't live. I'm watching on YouTube, TV all the time. Like they're 10 seconds behind. What does live really mean? Just lie to me. So I'm making a promise to you. I'm going to look in the camera for this one. As long as I get to do broadcasts, live broadcasts, I will never say this was earlier. I won't say it. I simply won't. I might say a moment ago. No, I'm just kidding. I won't say anything to that effect because it bothers me so much. Chris Powers obviously has a very strong presence on this segment. Again, I wanted to call it CP meme hour in the beginning, meme corner. Eternal take. It's a picture of Trent on the first tee at TBC Sawgrass with the crowd lining the right side. If you stand here when a 15 handicap is teeing off, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I don't know if I disagree, but I will say Trent didn't scare them at all. He hit a high, soft cut that ended in the right rough.
Towards that second group.
There was some, the live guys were, the bots or the live stands were active this week talking about the leaderboard. They were showing a comparison. And on the left, you got Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Jason Kokrak, Carlos Ortiz. The thing about the live leaderboard, it's always the same because it's the same guys in the tournament. It's the same, and it's one round. And I'm looking at the leaderboard on the right side of the Players' Championship. Camilo Villegas, I don't know where he finished. Lucas Glover was kind of up there. Minwoo fell way off. Billy fell way off. It was one round. And so the next Chris Powers, he responded to this. Let's see our CP. Yep. This tweet must go hard if you're a fucking moron. I mean, it's just true. It's if you get a group of players and have them play golf and it's the same group of players, the leaderboard's going to look pretty solid. That's kind of how that works.
Yeah, you get a couple major winners on the squad, you're good.
You know what I mean? We had one from Antifaldo. Antifaldo? I believe it's Antifaldo. Can we pull up that one? He was kind of describing the players as academic tests. The players is incredibly hard multiple choice. Augusta is multiple choice plus essays. PGA Championship, open, note, true, false. I guess he's saying it doesn't ask you very tough questions. It's can you hit it long and straight? US Open, true, false, but weighted questions. That's a little bit deeper analysis. I'm not sure. The Open, all regions/state saxophone tryouts. Just the weirdness. These people are so creative. It's amazing to me.
I love the US Open, but weighted questions one. It's true, false, but some of these are worth more.
Some of these questions are worth a lot more than the others. We had Bud Cauley who was up there. We had JJ Spawn who was up there, and either of them winning would have been great stories. But Tom and Marty's wasn't for it. He said JJ Spawn or Bud Cauley winning tomorrow would in fact be an awesome story about a life-changing win. A couple of career grinders reaching the top level is what makes the PGA Tour so great to watch. I hope they both shoot fucking 79s tomorrow. Thank you. So a lot of people were feeling the same way. A lot of it's a great story. I also kind of want that maybe someone else can win. Terrific stuff. And then we're finishing it with a tracker fight. There's this tracker community on the internet. I think all these guys are probably teenagers or you got to think they're young. So Justin Thomas Tracker tweets, Rory likely wins this. It's not a major. Rory McIlroy Tracker comes back. Your guy has been a walking T38 finish for 4 years, pal.
And skull emoji's his own reply, too.
Skull emoji, you're dead. Oh, the Tracker community going at each other. That's Tracker on Tracker violence.
More of this,
please. More of everything. What a great week. The Players' Championship, the Creator Classic. Rory McIlroy wins the tournament. We figured out our audio issues, I think. It was a smoother show here on Dan on Golf.
And our clip of the week I saw in real life and had the exclusive interview with our mans.
In the exclusive interview, Ben Boscovich, you were a magnet for hole-in-ones this week. You saw JJ Jakovacs, Colin Morikawa's caddy, and you saw Alejandro Tosti. Our clip of the week is Alejandro Tosti following through on a promise. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week, Golf Sickos.
I never had a hole-in-one. I said if I
haven't had a hole-in-one?
If I had a hole-in-one in that hole, I'm jumping in the lake.
Oh, yeah, I love it. There's gators in there.
I don't care.